the Dallas Cowboys add 32-year-old former Mike Zimmer Viking Eric Kendricks as a linebacker, and Todd Archer in his Kendricks story notes that Leighton Vander Esch is expected to retire in the coming weeks, something that we've been hearing for a while here.
Yeah, that was something that, I mean, we talked about that. You always want to give people space to announce those decisions on their own. But I think that's been the expectation for quite a while now, is that things were going to, and look, I mean, it's a very serious injury that he dealt with. He's had a couple of these serious injuries where we're hearing about, like, you know, remember a couple years ago he had that neck injury, and then Jason Garrett was saying, like, yeah, we just want that nerve to calm down. It's a little irritating. We want it to calm down. We don't think his career's over or anything. And everybody went, wait, what? Is this potentially like career threatening? Why would you even say that? And there have been a couple different instances where he's been laying on the field with a neck injury for a significant amount of time. He's got either he just had a baby or a baby is on the way. I mean, it makes you reflect and look at things a little bit differently. And so I would anticipate that's what's going to happen, is you're going to see Leighton Vander Esch retire in the next couple weeks.
Bobby Belt becoming dangerously close to Dan Orlovsky as the same person with the same opinions and tongue out in photos, all of it. It's like they're morphing into one. And I thought of that again yesterday when Orlovsky went on the Dan Patrick Show and talked about a possible Cowboys blow up.
The day after they lost to Green Bay, I said they should blow the whole place up. Restart. 3 years in a row, 12 wins. I would have gotten rid of Mike McCarthy. I would have moved on from Dak. Try to get as much value as I could from a good starting quarterback in the NFL. Now they're pigeonholed. You're either going to play handcuffed this season because of the salary that he has, and you're going to have holes that you're not going to be able to fill at some point, or you're going to have to extend him and continue to kick the can down the line when the results, when they've mattered the most, have been underwhelming. And so I could see Jerry Jones saying, well, I've tried it. It hasn't gone the way I've wanted. Maybe we try it this way. I also think this, Dan, and I've said this publicly, I don't think that the Cowboys are truly dead set on winning the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I think they're committed to mediocrity, and I think they're committed to winning. I don't think they're committed to and pushing all their chips in. Los Angeles Rams, less need, put it on the table type of stuff. We're going to win the whole thing. I don't believe that's them.
Mike Florio said the same thing yesterday, that Jerry Jones cares about being relevant, not necessarily about winning or doing everything it takes to win. He wants to be relevant.
So, several things there. One, I don't know what was going on at the beginning of that clip where Orlovsky's sitting in his home with his hands on his hips, like he's some Karen waiting to speak to the manager.
Ryan, see if you can get a still shot of that. By the way, Ryan getting the video up from the DP show. Fantastic job. Is he really?
Look at him.
Wait, do we know that his hands are on his hips?
Either
they
on his
hips
on his
thighs
or on his lap. He definitely looks like, I'd like to speak to your manager.
Yeah.
That is definitely the energy he's giving off there.
Is that the neighborhood watch coming up?
Oh, there's a lot in the neighborhood watch. Watch out if you're at a Walmart in Arlington, Texas. That's coming up here in just a few minutes. But I was distracted by that initially. The other aspect of this that's funny to me is you just had a massive fight on TV going they have a winning culture. Well, you can't say they have a winning culture and then come right back and be like, they're committed to mediocrity. This is, again, him just saying whatever, shooting from the hip. And to say that, yes, we agree that they in all likelihood will blow things up at the end of this year if they go sideways. But his argument of you should get rid of Dak Prescott should have started overall right now. I'm not buying.
Well, you're buying it just a year later.
I'm buying that they will do that. I'm not buying that that's wise. He's saying that should be the play.
Yeah, that it should have been the play right after the Packers lost. But I want to focus more on this Mike Bassick thought that for years, right? I'm just I'm accused a lot of times of being naive. A lot of times by my wife. That's okay. She doesn't think I'm funny, so I know. So she's 0 for 2 wrong, and I'm I can never. Why would? So Mike's point for years is exactly what Orlovsky said. They don't truly care. Ultimately, it's not their number one desire to win the Super Bowl, and I'm that doesn't make any sense. Why? Why would that be the case? It's not till this off season that I put serious thought and question into it. And I still can't like ultimately believe it, but I'm trying to figure out the reasons like how that could ever make sense.
Here's what I would say. I think it's wrong, but I don't think it's I don't think
give me
it's,
your theory.
I think that
as to why and how that could be true, because a ton of Tolos and Cowboy fans would agree with that. Like, they really don't care. They just care about being relevant. Well, like, why wouldn't you care about like the final 2 or 3 steps to win it all and you become even more of a legend?
I think they want to win the Super Bowl, but I think they want to win it their way. Like, I think if you told them, hey, it could be done this way. It can be done this way if you do it. I think I'm not certain that they would swap that. I think they want it to be done. They want to be looked at as like, our process worked. Like it
so
is,
what is their process that they're not wanting to deviate from? Signing outside free agents.
Yeah.
Going to get like the big blockbuster name Bill Belichick finishing piece.
I think they want to, and maybe some of it's ego. I think it's also, I'll give them the credit for this, I think it's also courage of conviction in terms of their team building philosophy, that they believe in it and they don't want to, like, they want to show that this is something that we believe in and we're not going to move off of it just because bad luck results. We feel like we've been in contention. Like, I'm not saying it's bad luck results. I'm just saying that this is how they would probably view it, I think.
Right. Is
that they say we've been a 12-win team. We're a few lucky breaks away from, being right there. This is something where there was an old quote from, I believe it was Sigmund Bloom at Football Guys used to say it, and Matthew Berry's used it every year when he talks about his fantasy football preview. Matthew Berry says, hey, this is the thing you got to remember. This game is played with an oblong ball. Like, it takes funny bounces. All right, there are things that you can move forward with analytics as much as you want. At the end of the day, it's a funny shaped ball that bounces in funny ways, and there are things you are just never going to be able to account for in the game of football. And I think the Cowboys feel like that has been their biggest detriment, is we haven't gotten the funny bounces to go our way. And if they just, we've put ourselves in position, though, for it to go our way. And once it just finally goes our way, you're going to see our process works. I think that's how they view it. And I think that they're committed to winning it their way and with their organizational process, which, like you say, is about homegrown, re-signing your own, not just homegrown players, but homegrown coaching staff. They really wanted the Kellen Moore, Jason Garrett thing to work out. Like, those are the things that they want it to be done that way.
But you don't question that they ultimately, number one goal, want to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I just think
you don't question that.
No, I don't question. I think they want to win the Super Bowl as their ultimate goal. Do I think that they're willing to sacrifice their way of doing it in favor of doing it another team's way? No, I don't think they're willing to do that.
I think that's a great way to put it. Final clip from Dan Orlovsky yesterday talking about the Cowboys culture and why they just don't try to take that final shot to win.
I got into this with Stephen A. last week. They have a winning culture. They do. They win. It's just that when I look at the other teams, like San Francisco trades for McCaffrey, Philadelphia goes and gets a Saquon Barkley or an A.J. Brown, the Los Angeles Rams make the trade for Matthew Stafford. Like, there's these other teams that we sit there and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to sit there and go, yeah, they're taking their shot right now. And it just never feels that Dallas takes their shot. They make good moves. They just don't take their shot.
Totally agree. Jerry comes on here and talks about the Charles Haley move. And we all know what Dion did.
Yeah.
And they're allergic to it. They refuse. They refuse to try to go ahead and take that shot.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they've been burned so much by moves post Super Bowl. Like Joey Galloway, the Roy Williams trade, the Brandon Carr deal. I get it. I'm just saying that
time ago.
I think that they have a little bit of, even when you look at, they got over the top with moves like Haley and Dion. I think in a lot of ways view that as, but we built that even if the Dion move was in the salary cap era, we built that team in a non-salary cap era, and he just pushed it over the first couple of years of the existence of free agency.
But then you can look at the Rams as an example of going all in over the top, and it worked.
True, and
I wonder if they don't want to ever risk being the Rams after that with no draft picks. And everyone thought that LA was going to suck, and last year had that really surprising year, the all or nothing, and then irrelevant for a while.
Well, and
but it doesn't have to take 5 of those moves.
No, it doesn't. And look, we've talked since free agency started, about how Super Bowl winning teams will make more aggressive moves in free agency historically than the Cowboys are willing to do. And just about every team that has won a Super Bowl the offseason before has spent significant money on an outside free agent or an outside trade. And so that's a difference. That's a different approach that the Cowboys have not been willing to embrace. I will say this. On the Rams front, the Rams did build a lot of that team through trades and free agency and different acquisitions. And I know Les Snead wore the F them picks shirt and everything else. The point that has been brought up, which is fair, is that the two best players on that football team were Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald, which were homegrown talents. Like at the end of the day, they did push it over that, but the core, the best players on that football team, the biggest difference makers on that football team were homegrown football players.
877-881-1053, Chartwreck.com text line. Tolo Ted said, Orlovsky sounds like the yacht money guy that you had on earlier.
Yeah, that's it. Anyways, while you're click-clacking on Twitter from your mom's basement.
All right, let me hear a sentence of Orlovsky. Dan sounds like Crypto Bro,
Yes.
You think?
When I look at the other teams, like San Francisco traded for McCaffrey.
Yeah, make him say pied à terre.
No,
and he's got that echoey room.
Papa Bear said your new barbecue area in your Emerald Custom Pools build could technically be called a pied à terre because of the size of it. Choose barbecue, hashtag. Not choose rich, choose barbecue, Papa Bear tweet of the day. So a pied à terre, according to Ryan, is a small living unit, apartment, or condominium often located in a large city and not used as an individual home. So there it is. We learned something today. Pied à terre.
We did, and it's Ryan's bringing a lot to the table. He's giving us, he's fact-checking us with definitions. He's giving choppy content. He's making the videos. He's creating storm warnings on the fan cam, which we may need later today. He's on top of it.
We should have given him the payload today.
Yeah,
Peyton would have really lost it, pushing him over the edge.
We should have given him Peyton's pay, is what we should have done.
Tolo Trey, the Cowboys are trying to win with mid-range jumpers in a league that's shooting threes to win.
The way that analogy falls flat is I do think that the Cowboys generally schematically approach things differently, and that's where I don't think they approach things from an ancient perspective in terms of how to execute their game plan. They're just team building is completely different. Their team building philosophy is no big money spent on free agents, and you have to do some of it. And until they break on that, they're probably not winning the Super Bowl.